for Wednesday, November 30th, 2016. May I have a motion to move into executive session?
I move we move into executive session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, or legal property acquisition issues and student issues. Maryland Local Government Code Article, Section 9-512A, 1, 2, 6, and 10.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, see everyone in an hour. All right, good evening. I'd like to reconvene the meeting of the St. Mary's County Board of Education for Wednesday, November 30th, 2016. We will begin with the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First item, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move approval of the agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, board reports. I'm going to start tonight, if that's okay. We'll jump out of order. Tonight is Mr. Carney's last meeting. He decided not to, he was appointed a year ago, almost, right?
Right.
And decided not to tip his feet into the political fray and did not run for re-election. So on behalf of the board, I would just like to thank you for going through that process of of interviewing with everyone on the other side of the street. Yeah. You have brought a lot of insight, a lot of great one-liners, as Mrs. Weaver can attest to.
Yes, which we will discuss in a few
Right.
minutes.
You know, just you've been a pleasure to work with. I've worked with you before, so our working relationship was nothing new. So I just would like to thank you, and on behalf of the board, I don't know if you're really a plaque or parchment type of guy. So instead, you can have dinner on your wife. You and your wife.
You.
You and your wife can have dinner on us. There you go.
I was going to say, I could take that several
You all
ways.
have just that.
Where's the whipped cream?
Yeah. Oh my God.
That was not the one-liner we needed right that moment.
I'm gonna miss you, Mr. Carney.
So anyway, so thank you very much. It has been a pleasure, and I know, so some of you don't know, he has spent many hours driving back and forth on vacation to come to various events that we had. Most notably the welcome teacher, the first day of the new teacher orientation. He did leave his wife with multiple grandchildren at Camp Kearney in order to come and welcome all of those new teachers to our organization. So, and that is just one example that pops out in my mind of the dedication that he did have to the school system. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, all right, now we can go. You're up. Follow that.
So recently, it was before our last meeting, but I didn't attend our last meeting. I attended the STEM Expo for this year, so the STEM Festival or the STEM Expo. Mm-hmm. And this was the second year that we actually had such a big STEM festival. And because usually we have just a small STEM Expo at the Tech Center, but this time it was a little bit more interactive. And it was fantastic to see how much we've evolved with the STEM program. I remember when we were just beginning out with the STEM program, not many people knew about it, or the interest wasn't that big because just not many people knew about it. And even now, the whole cultural nationally, we say STEM, the STEM careers, we put a lot of focus on that, and that really shows, and that really shows in the level of interest that I saw, even with the young kids. So I got to go around and see from 4th grade up to 12th grade the different types of STEM activities that they do. And there were Rube Goldberg machines from the Tech Center and from the STEM engineering at the high school. There were some chemistry experiments, some biology experiments, and then there were fun boat races for the little kids. There was even a guest lecturer who talked a little bit about astronomy. She works at the Applied Physics Lab on base, but she was talking about a very interesting upcoming project alongside NASA. So it was a lot of fun to see the kids so engaged in STEM, and not even just the kids who were part of STEM, but some newcomers who I saw. I kept on asking, like, are you interested in STEM? Do you think you might want to pursue a career? And even if they said, no, my favorite science is language arts, my favorite science is history, they still showed a lot of interest, and they never seemed bored when we were talking about our experiments or talking about the Rube Goldberg machines. And I think that was pretty interesting, and seeing the wide level of interest, not just girls, not just boys, but also age-wise. I didn't see multiple high schoolers, and I didn't see multiple young kids. So it's great to see how the program evolved year to year, and I really hope we do the STEM Festival again a third year.
Well, I attended the Fall Festival for the music program at Chopticon High School last week. It was fabulous. So if you didn't go, you really missed a great event. What they did this year was they combined their different areas, such as the chorus and the band and the orchestra and the jazz band and the Theater for Performing Arts. So the orchestra would be playing along with the men's choir, and then they had the jazz band playing along with
Triple threat.
yeah, triple threat. You know, so it was fantastic. I guess it was their marching band was unable to perform because their instruments are on their way to Hawaii. So I want to wish them the best luck. They're leaving next week for Hawaii. They were invited to join in the celebration, the 75th year of Pearl Harbor. I'm hoping that it will be live streamed. You know, I hoping that they'll get that site on there.
Yeah.
Hint,
that's the
hint,
intention.
so
Right.
that even though it might be 2 a.m, I will be up watching. So I wish them the best of luck. And Mr. Carney, his one-liners, yes, he has them continually under his breath throughout the night. I will definitely miss that. Today's, a minute ago, was he asked me if I was using an abacus, because that all came because my computer is working, theirs is not. I said, I guess they have inferior products, but he asked me if I was using an abacus. That is not even in my vocabulary. So definitely we'll miss that, and
Thank you.
wish you best of luck.
Well, I also attended an extended STEM. They added the A, which is apropos for tonight with the artist, and it's definitely a good addition, because you think of architecture, you think of drafting, and what you need some artistic abilities in those fields, but you certainly need the other elements of STEM. And yesterday, I was with the joint meeting with the Board of Commissioners, and I got a chance to speak to Commissioner President Randy Guy and thank him for giving me the opportunity to serve. And I'd like to thank the other commissioners for this opportunity, because I've really enjoyed myself. The year went by pretty fast, and thank you very much for the support of the other board members. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'll be fast because I did take up some of my allotted time. Let's see, the school system, we had the state of the schools
sure did.
last Thursday by invitation to present everything that we've been doing. Mr. Smith did a great job, as did the other people that helped him, Dr. Marr with his PowerPoint and video and everything skills.
Marianne
As
Williams.
with Marianne Williams. So that was good. We did have a meeting last week also with Senator Wall at his request to talk about some of the things that are coming before the legislature, including a commission in order to evaluate and review how schools are funded in the state of Maryland by county. And then we also, Scott and I are continuing to meet, in addition to the joint meeting we had yesterday, or Tuesday, yeah, was that yesterday? Oh my gosh, yesterday.
Yesterday.
With the county commissioners, we do still meet on a quarterly basis with Commissioner President Randy Guy and Dr. Bridget, just so we have an ongoing communication between the two boards of things that are coming up or things that they might have questions on. And that was very productive also.
I agree.
So and I just would like to give one shout out to all of PTAs and all of the volunteers in the school. It is a very crunch time of year. I know there are a number of schools that had Grandparents' Day, they had bingo nights, they had everything leading up to the Thanksgiving break, and now a lot of them are putting on holiday Christmas shops for the students to shop at, especially in the elementary schools. So there's a tremendous amount of parent volunteers, and I know it's taxing the staff and teachers because they are shuttling kids in and out for various activities. Once again, hats off to everyone who volunteers, and once again for our staff for being patient, because it is making a more well-rounded and great school experience for our students. So thank you to everyone. So stay strong through Christmas.
First, I would like to thank Mr. Carney for stepping up to fill in when we had a vacancy on the Board of Education. I thank you for the year of service that you provided, and you filled the gap for us. Thank you very much for your service. I attended 4 evenings, in addition to many other things, of fine music with our all-county honors, elementary, middle, and high school chorus, bands. It was wonderful. We had guest conductors from other areas of the state who worked with our students, who only had sometimes maybe a few hours to practice with the students, and the students were terrific. All the concerts were free, and it was a great way to start the holiday season. I want to thank Mr. Burrows for his wonderful work he's doing as Director of Music and Fine Arts. The music program in our schools are strong. Many systems where they're cutting back on music and fine arts, we are holding steady and in many cases increasing. So art is wonderful. Music or dramatic arts, visual arts. Art is like, when we don't have arts, it's like a cloudy day. It's like a day that's gray. It's like a black and white photograph. That's the way the world is without the music and fine arts. And I appreciate all the music educators, all our students, and our neighbors who hear students practicing. And the sounds are going out of the windows, because my sons did the same thing, and my neighbor said she really loved those sounds. So anyway, thank everybody for what they're doing, music and fine arts. And thank you again, Mr. Burrows, and pass the thanks along to all the educators who helped to make it 4 nights of, really, it was 5 nights of successful music. Thank you.
Last evening, I had the opportunity to attend a teacher appreciation dinner that was hosted by the Leonardtown Rotary Club, of which I'm a member, and the Lexington Park Rotary Club. And while we honor an entire series of teachers, it's not only public school teachers, but also parochial school teachers who are honored through the evening. And our nominee as Teacher of the Year for the State Teacher of the Year also received a $1,000 check in recognition of the tremendous work that she does, though she would, I'm sure, demur and say that she really is there only representing the many incredible teachers we have across the system. But it's an evening I look forward to every year, and the opportunity to spend some time with some really incredible teachers and principals across the county. I'd like to also echo the words that have been said to Mr. Carney. I was lucky enough to serve with him when he was our chief financial officer. He and I both came in at about the same time, and always in awe of his knowledge. Quite diverse. His Latin quotes are something to behold. I think we all have great stories about Mr. Carney, but first and foremost, he has been an incredible addition to the group. His knowledge, but also his sense of humor through all that we've experienced over the last year, it really made this an enjoyable experience. So thanks very much, Dan.
I have to check my pulse.
No, I purposefully didn't wear all black tonight. So.
I'm in blue.
Wait till the eulogy. Wow,
Hopefully Jared
so
won't kill
we
you.
really have. We've been busy since November 9th, and none of you had mentioned, but we also had the Veterans Day Parade.
Yes.
And that was a beautiful day, and we were all waving in the parade. That was lovely. I think you guys hit everything. We've been together a lot this month. It's been really nice, and it really is wonderful to go to concerts with the fellowship that's there. It really is quite amazing, and then to be recognizing our visual artists this evening. It's nice. We go out and we hear this great music, and we see these great performances, and then we come back to have our sometimes very long meetings, and we look out over these fantastic, very brightly colored art pieces of artwork that have been selected for this round of rotation of 8. And so just thank you very much. You have brightened many mornings and evenings as we've sat in here or as we've walked down the hall
Yes.
to the office. So we'll be recognizing you in just a bit, and that's a lovely thing. All the superintendents went to Annapolis for Legislative Day. Okay. Dan. Mr. Carney, you will be sorely missed. I enjoyed working with you when I was a building administrator. I enjoyed working with you when I was a central office staff person, and I've really enjoyed working with you as you being my boss and on the board. That's been great. Latin semper paratus, right?
Yes.
That's as an old coastie, it is always ready.
Always ready. And then when you retire, it's simply forgot us.
I had a big long quote about you always being ready, but
You
that's
can't
perfect.
top it.
That's fantastic. So just
Be done.
just thank you very much, good sir. And so ends my report.
Okay, and with that, it is Mr. Todd Burrows.
Mr. Todd Burrows.
And while he's going to the podium, I will do a plug for the Chopticon Madrigal Dinner, which is taking place this weekend.
This weekend.
Yes.
Friday,
Yeah.
Saturday,
Friday.
and Sunday. So,
Great things happen at
That's
Chopticon
right.
High School. And they say that one of the greatest testaments to work well done is work that continues after you step to the next great thing. And it would appear that you have done an exceptional job with Chopticon High School. So
Thank you very much.
congratulations to you, sir.
Mr. Smith, would you care to join me up here?
I most certainly shall.
Thank you. As we begin, it sounds like the state of the arts in St. Mary's County Public Schools is very strong, and I'm very, very happy to report that. So greetings, board members and Mr. Smith. This evening, we would like to recognize those students whose artwork is currently displayed in the superintendent's art gallery, found both here in the boardroom and in the hall leading to Mr. Smith's office. I am truly inspired by their works and their artistic ability. If you haven't had the opportunity, I encourage you to take a moment to enjoy their pieces. Students, when we call your name, please come up to receive your certificate. At this time, we would like to recognize from Mechanicsville Elementary School, Emily Chen.
Can we have them all stay?
Yes, definitely.
We'll have them all stay, and then we'll have the break right afterwards,
Yes.
and we'll take a great picture. So you get to stay for the entire time we're here. Are you comfortable with that? Just move over right here, and we'll just film this. Thank you.
From Park Hall Elementary School, Penelope Vink. From Evergreen Elementary School, Brianna Young. From Piney Point Elementary School, Gabrielle Oakley. And finally, accepting on behalf of Lillian Walker, who cannot be here tonight due to an emergency, Miss Wendy Zimmerman, Principal, Spring Ridge Middle School.
No?
The tall one.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, y'all need the picture.
So I just would like to say, before we go to break and take great pictures of you, we're going to take a whole bunch of pictures, and parents will bring up, and the whole board will be around you. You're doing a great job. It really is. It's a really big deal that your artwork was chosen, and then it's all matted and put up here. And the best thing about art is people have to see your art. You have to get it out. You have to make sure people see it. And your artwork is seen and appreciated. You don't know how many times people say to the board or to me or to other people who are visiting as they walk down the hall, they'll comment on the artwork they see in the halls, and they'll stop and they'll read your name and they'll read your grade and they'll talk about how wonderful St. Mary's County is and how important and how blessed we are to have such incredible artists. So just thank you very much for sharing your artwork with us. And are you all going to continue to create art? How many people really want to become artists? Maybe. You can find some art a little bit in all things that you do, as Mr. Carney had said. You know, even architects and engineers have to understand the beauty of visual things. So congratulations very much. Let's take a break and take some pictures.
Take a break for 10 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to reconvene our meeting. Let's see. Public hearing. We have policy IMS student publications that we read 2 weeks ago, I believe. And just as an update, the corrections that we discussed during that reading were
reflected
implemented
in
and
what's up.
reflected in there. So
Very good.
we have the bat signal that there's no comments on that. Public comment? Nothing there either. Okay. Moving on. The consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. First action item, or only one of the day, is Mr. Larry Hartwick. Data infrastructure improvements at Greenview Knolls Elementary School.
And Mr. Hartwick, you could certainly speak to the artistry in working and building and that thing that makes a building very special. I know that you pay very close attention to that, and it really is a wonderful testament to the power of art.
And it's not just art, it's poetry, I mean, it's music.
Yeah. See? Kindred spirits. and he's in a very technical field. You can still have a great and profound appreciation for
Not made that poetry leap yet. I'm sorry.
A, B, A, B.
I'm
C,
never
D,
gonna
C, D,
forget it
E,
now.
F, E, F, G, G. But let's talk about data infrastructure improvements at Greenview Knolls Elementary
right.
School. That's the...
All right, good evening, board members.
evening.
Tonight, we're requesting use of an existing contract for data infrastructure improvements at Greenview Knolls Elementary School. Of course, you know quite a bit about this already because we were here last week explaining the QZAB fiscal year 2016 project at Greenview Knolls. That we unfortunately had to reject on November 9th due to a couple issues. But in talking to the school for all the elements of that project, there were a number of building systems to be improved. Their highest priority was the data infrastructure. And what that is basically Greenview Knolls, as an older school, just doesn't have the cabling infrastructure and therefore can't support the school system standard now having one Wi-Fi access in each classroom. So that's the highest priority at the moment. So again, a little more background. As we were realized we would have to reject the bids, we went out looking for potential contracts. We really thought we would be best served after the bidding to go to specialized contractors, especially local ones because of the size of the job. It turns out that Southern Maryland Cable, they're based in Calvert County, had an open contract with the District of Columbia Water and Sewer Authority for cabling and wiring infrastructure. Now, this contract was previously approved by the board in May of 2016 in the amount of roughly $249,000 for the data infrastructure work at all three high schools. And Southern Maryland Cable did an excellent job in successfully completing that work this last summer. So in terms of the actual contract, the District of Columbia Water and Sewer contract was solicited and awarded originally in 2014. It is a unit price contract, and it was awarded to Southern Maryland Cable. The current contract is in its first option year, and it has 3 additional options for 1-year renewal. What was really important to me in looking at the various potential contracts was this one had the provision for Davis-Bacon wage scale. And as I explained at the last board meeting, QZAB, source of QZAB funds are federal funds, and therefore we have to abide by the Davis-Bacon wage determination and provision. So having that was important because it meant that they didn't have to change their labor rates. It was all right there. The other excellent part of this is that the contract has a rider for the Mid-Atlantic Purchasing Team, which St. Mary's County Public Schools is a member. And like most unit contracts, it does have provision for materials that are not specifically called out in the unit price schedule to provide some flexibility in the contract. The actual proposal was submitted by Southern Maryland Cable, and it conformed to the unit prices and the terms of the contract. The proposal includes MBE participation, and in fact, Southern Maryland Cable will be using a MBE supplier, which brings their participation rate up to 29% on this particular job. In order to kind of expedite the fact that nobody can really beat the prices that we're getting on these Wi-Fi access points, we decided to purchase those directly and then supply them to the contractor for installation. And then what's important to think when we look at the numbers, the scope of work in the proposal matches the bid ad alternate that we received previously. And that original bid price for that portion of the job was $48,000. As you've seen in the backup material, the proposal from Southern Maryland Cable is $32,468.10, and that's what we're going to be asking your approval for tonight. The purchase of the Wi-Fi access points added another roughly $11,000, bringing the total to just over $43,000. So you can see we saved about $6,000 by going this particular route. So that's going to be our recommendation tonight, that you do authorize the use of the contract to Southern Maryland Cable, and that stated amount of $32,468.10. And in addition, we'd like to request a construction contingency of $8,000 for this project. Still can't get it right tonight. So that's our recommendation. We'll go ahead and take your questions.
Mrs. Weaver?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
No questions?
I don't have anything, I just have a comment. Thank you very much for bringing this back so quickly. I know we talked a lot about it at the last meeting, and you alluded that you had things in the works. I had no idea that it was this far along, that we'd be seeing it in 2 weeks, or 3. So,
Great.
thank you very much. So, Mrs. Washington?
and they have worked successfully for us in the past. They did great work at the 3 high schools, and they include MBE participation, so we have a good record going here. Thank you so much.
Ms. Nye?
I saw in the contract that there was a notation that there's no payment or performance bond price that was included in the contract. Is that an issue for this?
No, because we usually don't ask for performance contracts if they're under $50,000.
Okay. All right, that's my only question. Thank you.
All right, with that, do I have a motion on this recommended action item?
I move that the Board of Education approve the use of the District of Columbia Water and Sewer Authority RFP 14 PRDIT 27 in the amount of $32,468.10 to Southern Maryland Cable Incorporated for data improvements at Greenview Knolls Elementary School, and further authorizes a construction contingency of $8,000.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, thank you.
very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harwick.
Dr. Marr, our Bridge to Excellence Master Plan update.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So first of all, I want to thank, as I present the master plan update, I want to thank Tracy Heibel, Christy Boyle, and others who have come before me in this process of putting together the master plan. And I want to thank members of the Division of Instruction, Finance, and Supporting Services for all of their work in putting this together as well. There are a lot of minds at work to put together this document here that supports the work that we're doing here in St. Mary's County Public Schools. Just to give you a little bit of background on the master plan process. The first master plan that was put together was about 13 years ago, in 2003, 2004, as a result of the Thornton Commission and the Bridge to Excellence in Public Schools Act. Over the last 14 years, that plan has been updated each year. So what MSDE has asked is that we provide any updates to changes in the plan, or we've had some questions, and then each year additional requirements were added over time as well, so that the master plan became more of a response to updates around that. This past year, the Maryland legislature looked at the amount that has been added to the master plan process and passed House Bill 999 and 412 that put some new requirements that said really what we need to be reporting on is specific responses to how students are doing on achievement tests, as well as reporting for the federal grant. So we have two parts to our master plan process. So just here, there's two recent pieces of legislation that provided guidance for the master plan process this year. Specifically, the budget requirements that were there before still stayed, so we had to report on changes to our budget. In our document, we provide the response as well as a link to our full budget document online as well, so that the public can see the details behind that as well. In addition, the new requirement asks us to respond to specific goals, objectives, and strategies regarding the performance of students relative to accountability assessments. In this case, we're responding to the students' performance on PARC over these two years of no-fault assessment, and looking forward to this coming school year. And specifically, where are the achievement gaps for underperforming populations, particularly for special education, limited English proficiency, and other students failing to meet progress relative to those assessment standards. So what you see in part one of the master plan then is a response to those goals and objectives around student achievement. And there is an additional piece here, which was as a result of HB 412. As you recall, in the summer when we presented the response to the Assessment Commission report, part of the master plan process also now includes the listing of all of our locally required assessments as well as state assessments. And so there's a 15-page section of part one of the master plan listing all of those assessments for you and for the public. So that's part one. We have an executive summary that outlines how our work connects to our commitment statements, and I'll share a little bit more about that in a moment. The budget narrative, as I explained, and the goals objectives related to assessments, and then the assessments themselves. In part two, each one of the grant pieces for the federal and state grants that are part of our funding are outlined as well. So this work has been going on. I mentioned the dozens of people who have worked on this master plan over the last 5 months. The first part of it was due in August with the Title I grant that was submitted in draft, and then Title II and Title III followed along with the Fine Arts grant. So those pieces all occurred during the summertime, sending it up to the Maryland State Department of Education, the program directors there. They gave us feedback and went back and forth, and those have all been approved. Part 1, which was the instructional component, particularly regarding student achievement, the timeline looked a little different this year. It was shifted back about a month. So the drafts were due in October. You all received a copy of it at the time that it was sent to the state. They then gathered some panels of other school system folks and state representatives in November. There were a few of us locally who served on some of these panels as well, reviewing local school systems plans. Those teams met together, provided clarifying questions, responses were given, and then that review happened in the last week, last 10 days, looking at each one of these master plans. We received notice that ours was all approved. Our responses to our questions were all fully explained. And so what you see in front of you is the approved master plan that was submitted to the state. The public has access to the entire master plan as well. If you go to the school system webpage, you can scroll down into the About Us section and click where it says Bridge to Excellence Master Plan. From there, you can see links to both the executive summary, if you just want to read that one section, and then you can follow on to read the other 220 pages of the document as well. One thing we tried to highlight in the master plan is that everything really lines up to the commitments that we have to our community, the commitments we have to our students, to our staff, to our schools, to our stakeholders, and how we're sustaining that work over time. So what you see in the executive summary is how each one of those goals and objectives that are explained links to those commitment statements. We also want to show our community what we're doing for each one of these commitments as well. So that graphic, you've seen it before, outlines that those commitments. And if you click on that, you see some details about each one of those commitment statements. So each one of those commitment statements are then hyperlinked to further details. So depending on how deeply you want to investigate each one of those, if you click on 1.1, you can see some of the programs where our students have access to a rigorous and relevant learning. So it talks about, for example, our pathway programs and our academies. Okay. We also want to know from our community how we're doing. So on each one of those pages, as well as on the front page, and it has been built on every one of the school's web pages, you see this button that says, "Have you seen us making a difference?" And what we'd like to hear from folks, from staff, from the community, is where you've seen these commitments come to life. And so when you click on that button, it opens a short little form where you can submit it. We've had about a dozen responses since we've posted it. We kind of rolled it out softly to sort of see where people would respond. And it's really great to see some of the great things that people are bringing to light. For example, a couple weeks ago, someone pointed out the great work of one of our school bus drivers and how she responded to a student. And so that's the kind of great work we want to highlight of our staff and our schools that's going forward. So that link is there for our community to talk about not just what's in this master plan, but how this comes to life in our schools every day. So with that, I leave for questions and comments.
Well, I have to say, I remember in the summertime, Mr. Smith was talking to me about how this would play out, especially on the website, and he was very enthusiastic about it. And he was saying how detailed it was going to be. I'm like, is it really going to be this? I just couldn't picture it. And then now it's very, the website's very user-friendly, and like you said, it's very clear your commitments to staff, school, and stakeholders. And when you go further and further, you get more information. And I feel like for anyone who wants it, not just students, but sometimes their parents want to know what's going on in schools, it's very helpful. And I think the forum post, if we get like more people knowing about it, you would get a lot of hopefully good responses. And I think it's a great thing that there is that, not open discussion, but that feedback that you can get to know how it is, how your master plan is implementing in real life. So I think it's great that you have it.
Thank you, Ron.
Now, I'm going to tell you, this is going to take me quite a while to go through. And I did start, yes, I'm doing it, I will stay up tonight. No, it's because I have been starting to go through, but I mean, it's very, very detailed. And I think it's great. Now, one of my questions is did they give you certain questions that, did the state say, okay, here's the questions, and you need to provide us in detail your answers?
So what the guidance document that MSD provided really took what was in House Bill 999 and framed them into questions. So when it looked at each one of the areas of student achievement, for example, English language arts, there was a section for grades 3 through 8, and then for English 10 for Park. And it asked specifically, describe the performance of students, describe the performance of student groups that were underperforming, describe the performance of students who are receive special education services, English who are limited English proficient students, and then explain your strategies to address those areas of achievement. And so what you see in our response is a section 1 for each one of them was an explanation of that achievement, and then section 2 under each one of them is a chart that was developed by our content supervisors that explains specific strategies, why we chose the strategies, a timeline for those activities, and then where the funding source is to support each one of those. So each school system approached it a little bit differently. That's how we approach it, but for each one of those sections, that's how it was. It was each one of these pieces here, because the law was very specific. You may only ask responses for these items here. And so what you see on this slide was what framed the section 1 of this plan. Now section 2, which is all of the federal grants, had a whole different set of rules that applied, but for section 1, that's how it was. Each one of these was turned into a question.
Okay, thank you.
And this is the streamlined version of
The executive summary.
of the
Yeah.
master. This is actually longer,
27 pages longer.
27 pages longer than last year, but this was the legislature saying we're going to streamline the process and then handing it to MSDE, and this is the streamlined process. So it's a great opportunity and exercise to talk about what we're doing as a system. But actually, so in each one of the sections, you see the exact detailed question that MSDE posed from that before we go into our response. Fun stuff.
Okay. Well, I know how much work goes into compiling this, because I was here for the birth of the first. And it seems like they,
Are you talking about your age?
yes, yeah. The Old Testament. But I want to let everybody know that I feel that the school system is in very good hands, and it's shows by what you put together in the master plan. Thank you.
I have one question, then one comment. So back on for House Bill 999, where it said that the strategies to address the disparities in achievements for the children. So that is all related to the park.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
so everyone
Yes.
understands that.
Park
Yes.
and park alone.
Right.
Park, as well as, in this case, HSA, government and biology as
Right.
well, but yes.
Right. Okay. So and those are all this quote unquote, for lack of a better word, a standardized test that is somehow given that.
Right,
throw within
the
the
only
system.
academic measure that is addressed in this version of the master plan is the state park and HSA
Right, just so
and
everyone's
state
clear on
tests.
that.
Yes, it doesn't, they don't talk about it, there's no longer anything in there about graduation or dropout or truancy or any, like all of those pieces have been dropped out. This is really just park and HSA.
Right.
And-
So just to make that point perfectly clear. And then I know, so since you're also required to provide all of the county assessments that are provided.
Yes.
I guess the one thing not that we are lacking in submitting, but I don't think was asked for, is how we adjust our teaching methods based on what those results are in order to still achieve the goals that we want for Park.
Right. In the executive summary, we did add some additional pieces that helped explain how we use data on a daily basis as a formative
Okay.
process, which did mention our local assessments. So while the goals and objectives statements specifically cited the park, you'll notice in each one of those activities, it really made a connection throughout about how we use assessments on an ongoing basis. And we did put some of that in the upfront area of the executive summary so that we can explain not only to MSDE but to our public about how we use it on an ongoing basis.
Okay. And then the only other comment I have, and it's actually stated in the document, and then I've heard it in several other places. It seems that there's a lot of children that are entering grades below below their grade level in reading. So
As measured
by
the park.
Right.
Right.
So
Let's
that is not, so that's another, like, that, I don't want that to just be out there, because I've had a couple parents
Yes.
that have come back with that based on what they've seen their children's test scores are.
Right.
And, that is not necessarily measured by where they actually are. It is measured by this test.
It is measured by Park and
Right.
Park alone, and Park has 5 designations.
Right.
And the state has determined that a score of 4 or 5 indicates that you are 4 at grade level or 5 exceeding grade
Right.
level. If you are 3, you are approaching, and there's been a lot of discussion about that because the majority of the state, when you add 3, 4, and 5, you start to get very similar scores to what we had with the previous MSA.
Right.
So it's a very,
But right, it came up yesterday, and now
Yes.
it's here again, so just so, no one thinks that we have children that are not,
well, it's
Right,
it's how well the children take the Park test.
exactly, so, just want to make that clear
Yes.
before anyone starts blowing up emails.
Yes, yes.
All right, Mrs. Washington, all you.
I want to give a huge thanks to all the administrators and educators and principals and everyone else who worked diligently to put this huge document together. It addresses our commitment to our students and staff and how we're going to get there, how we're going to accomplish it, and how we're going to sustain it. So thanks to everybody that worked diligently to put it together. This was a lot of work, and a lot of it was done during the summer.
And I particularly want to give a shout out to Mrs. Bachner and her team. The content supervisors have had to put a lot of work into this with those responses. And so thank you, Mrs. Bachner and Ms. Montgomery, and to Ms. McCord as well, because that finance section is also quite detailed. So
Thank you very much.
This really came about, you alluded to it at the beginning, as a result of the Thornton Commission. So previously, prior to the Thornton Commission recommendations being adopted, we were funded in very tight line categories. In order to give school systems more flexibility through block grants that combined some of those tighter categories, the expectation was then that we would provide very specific accountability as to how those funds were being utilized and then the outcome of how those funds were being utilized. And thus was born the master plan. And I have to say, this is not bad. I mean, you've
Oh, no,
handed
we
us
have
sections that
their
are,
binders
yeah, I won't even begin to
before.
tell you
Yeah.
the stack that's in my living room. But it does help to understand in a more concrete way what we're doing, how we're doing it, where we're doing it, and how we're paying for it, and then what the expected outcome is, and then whether or not we are meeting that. I think the difficulty for me is something I've talked about over time, which is that the park assessment, which started out as a consortium of 40 states, is now down to 6 states.
Right.
So I absolutely believe in accountability, and I absolutely believe in being able to demonstrate that our students are learning and they're effective learners. I'm still not convinced that Park is it, and that really speaks to Mrs. Bailey's comment about the reading level of students is not being reflected in what those Park scores are. I know it's something over time that we will continue to look at, but I think the public needs to understand we have a wide measure of very effective accountability measures through assessments. And a lot of that goes on in the classroom on an ongoing basis
Every single
because
day.
it's there, it's relevant, and it's timely. And so while this may be a snapshot measure, it is not the full picture. And there's a lot more color and definition to the real picture
Right. Absolutely.
than there is anywhere else.
It's a resplendent, full-color,
Abs-
4K video.
Absolutely.
And this is a black and white
And just another plug, when you say assessments, you mean the county assessments.
Right.
Yes. Yes, I do. And so I think we need to make sure that when we talk about these things, that as has been done here, we reflect on the fact that it is, this is a narrow measure, and it is by no means a complete one as far as what the school system is looking at. So I respect that the legislature is trying to give a hand and maybe get some of this under control. It is a work in progress. So,
you both make very good points about Park is the data that drives this machine. And we're trying to build a really good machine and recognize that there's a lot of other data that we use here. When you actually get into the document, all the preface, what we're really doing as a system lies in each one of the tables, that the supervisors have spent a lot of time really talking about what are the strategies that we're deploying across the system instructionally with our children to help them and move them and ultimately close gaps. And that really is that's the driver of the document. That's where we're going to spend our greatest effort. Now that we're all approved, the next phase of this is we're going to go through all of these tables as a system and say, let's get to this, let's find the evidence. Let's really go out into the buildings and show how we are deploying those strategies and make this a living document. So I've been doing the master plan, working with those who've been doing the master plan for over a decade. If you go to the website, you can go all the way back in an archaeological dig to 2003 and see the very first master plan as it was.
Janice Taylor.
Janice Taylor. I worked closely with her. She was the grand coordinator of all that work. It's really interesting.
There it is.
And there's an evolution all the way back.
So there were a lot more
to
attachments.
2003. It was all broken apart. But we have made sure. We really believe that it's important that we provide for those people who are so interested the historical perspective on where this came from. And if you could go to the homepage. And so what Dr. Marr was talking about was that we have that great logo there. When you click on that logo, it goes in even further. If you go to any one of the commitments, then you have the individual commitments. When you hit the commitments, you can even drill into that. And when you get to that one, we put pictures up, we've got vision, we've got more information, and we've got the specific performance measures that we're following as a system to really demonstrate that indeed we're living that commitment. We're really putting that vision into play. It's a lot of work. This is really complex and important work, and so it all kind of comes together. Dr. Marr, you specifically leading, but with a great deal of people working together. Job well done. 2016-17 annual update to the there.
We have some questions. Yes.
Gonna go
we
right
were
back
discussing
around.
over here. Are there going to be any other types of areas or skills that the state will be looking at in the future?
That is a
That is a fantastic
great
question. Right now, I think at least until they've restructured the master plan, I believe in the details of House Bill 999, it talked about having this process here in place for 2 years and then revisiting the master plan process after that. So at least for next year, we're going to be responding in the same way to achievement questions as they're asked.
Okay.
But it looks like in the 2017-18 school year, we will have a different model for what that master plan is. And I think the legislature has charged MSD with coming up with that process by that point. But I want to say that there's a 2-year process there.
And that'll be contingent on the way MSDE implements the Every Student Succeeds Act. how the governor works through the Kerwin Commission and how that all that funding works. And Park only has a 1-year contract with the state of Maryland. So where it goes beyond that, that's and so again, the data that drives this machine right now is predicated on Park. And so if we know we are going to be administering Park this year, like that's a known. Beyond that is not a known. So we shall see. But either way, this is a beautiful, bound, lovely. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you. All right. AP Capstone. Ms. Denise Mandis.
Ms. Denise Mandis, good evening.
Good evening. So I think that, good evening, Board.
Good evening.
I think that Dr. Marr segued very nicely, talking about our commitment to students. And so this is something that's been in the works now for over a year, actually. And we just got some good news, and good news is good news, so we'll share the good news. So I want to give you a little bit of background first on what AP Capstone is. It is a College Board program, focuses on research, collaboration, written oral communication skills, basically project-based learning. And the colleges are really speaking out, advocating for this particular program. It is comprised of 2 courses. There is an AP seminar course, which comes first, and then there is an AP research course, which comes second. And the beauty of AP Capstone is that it really can be tailored to meet individual student needs. So when we first became aware of AP Capstone, it is fairly new. It's only in its second year right now. It started out when we first looked at it, there were only 62 schools in the nation that were even doing it. So I had to look at only 4 schools in Maryland when I was looking to go visit and see it in action. But when we initially looked at it, we said, wow, what a great fit into some of our academy programs that are already using a capstone process and already using that project-based learning component. So we started doing a little bit of digging and a little bit of research. So AP Capstone has really been lauded by a lot of colleges in particular, and they're saying, these are the skills that we need kids to have. These are those essential college and career readiness skills that they're going to be expected to do. Independence, collaboration, research, all of those things that are essential to survive in any discipline as you go into college. So we started looking, and we decided that we would look at implementing this, particularly just to kind of pilot, if we were approved, in STEM, as well as our Global and International Studies Academy. And I'll explain logically why that makes a lot of sense. Right now, our STEM students currently complete a capstone project, and actually many of you have been to their symposiums or their presentations. So it really fit quite nicely in with what STEM students are already doing. Now, we just get the opportunity to offer them a little bit more rigor, the opportunity to demonstrate their understanding through 2 AP assessments, and the opportunity to earn additional college credit, as well as something called an AP Capstone diploma. So really, they've been doing this anyway. Now we get to say, hey, look, you're going to get recognized, and you get a little bit more, possibly higher GPA, possibly that AP Capstone diploma. So STEM students are currently required to complete a 100-hour internship. It is research-based. They also then have to develop that multimedia presentation. They give that presentation to an esteemed panel. They get feedback. They answer questions. And then they take that, they also do a symposium where they have kind of a museum type of format where they also answer questions from the public. It's an open opportunity. And they kind of, in a way, defend their research and their ideas. So currently, STEM students are taking a class called STEM Research in 11th grade. And let me take that back. We have proposed that they will take AP Research in 11th grade and AP Internship in 12th grade. So the AP Seminar and AP Research just replace those 2 courses. Beauty, no new teachers. No, it's just like a name switch. And again, we kind of adopt that College Board curriculum and make it work. It is really interdisciplinary based, and we make it work for STEM. So we're going to take those 2 classes, rename them, and make it work for STEM, and possibly, like we said, get them 2 extra AP credits. Global and International Studies is very similar. They actually just finished their capstone process. I know a couple of you did have the opportunity to either attend their capstone presentations or the symposium that was held. GIS students do a very similar thing. The difference with GIS versus STEM is that internship component. There is not an internship component required for global and international studies, primarily because we live in a STEM-centric community. We have a lot of opportunities for our students to immerse themselves in STEM-type things. A lot of those global type internships present themselves in Washington, D.C., or in more urban areas. So what we did is we gave students choice. So they can either focus on student service advocacy or more of that global awareness. They do extensive research. They actually partner with St. Mary's College of Maryland in that process. They develop also a multimedia presentation, and then they are either tasked with constructing a website or some sort of a museum quality display to showcase what they've learned. And advocacy is ultimately a part of this. Why does it matter, and what are the implications locally and globally for that research? So currently, it's very similar to the way STEM is set up. GIS students are taking a GIS 3 course the summer before their senior year, and it's called GIS Capstone. And then in their senior year, they're taking GIS 4, which is an international relations class. And in that class, they tweak their capstone, first couple months of school, present in October. So again, we're just going to plug in, no new staff. AP Seminar will take the place of that GIS 3. It will be taken in grade 10, and AP Research would be taken in grade 11. And this was based on feedback from our Global and International Studies students and parents. And what they said was that they really wanted to be done a little bit earlier with their capstone process. And they said, if we're done by the end of our junior year, we can then use that in our college application process. We can attest to the research that we've done. A lot of them said if they had an interview process for college, that was one of the best things that they had in their defense. Look at what I've done, this project-based learning, showing that they really were college ready. So this is just a quick little overview of how AP Capstone works. So AP Seminar is first. It is mandated that is the first course they take. We can offer that 10th or 11th grade. There are 3 components of it. They have a team-based project. Then they move on to an individual research project. And there is an actual AP course exam that is tied to AP Seminar. It is very uncanny in the similarity to the AP Language and Composition exam. Very similar. They're asked to analyze an argument, and then they are asked to synthesize 4 documents into an argument of their own. So it's very, very similar. The second course in this is AP Research, which would be the second year. That can be offered either 11th or 12th grade. And this is where it fits perfectly with our capstones that are already at play. Academic paper. Our students are already doing that. They're doing a research-based academic paper, and they're doing that presentation, multimedia, and the oral defense. Works perfectly. The only thing that we'll have to tweak here is we'll have to look at our capstone handbooks and make sure that our scoring mirrors the AP College Board scoring, just so the semantics are the same, language is the same. The beauty of this, if students do AP Seminar, AP Research, and then take 4 additional AP courses and exams and score a 3 or higher, and they can be any AP courses or exams, they also get that AP Capstone diploma.
Which is huge.
Which is huge. And so it's like AP Scholar up a notch.
Yep.
Okay? And colleges are really recognizing that and again, lauding that and praising that as truly being able to say you are college and career ready. Currently, there are 650 high schools as of this year in the United States offering AP Capstone. They are anticipating that that's going to double for next year. Good news, we were accepted. So we applied, we were accepted to pilot this next year. So next year, Leonardtown High School and Great Mills High School will join only 10 other high schools in Maryland offering AP Capstone. Now that's 10 that I know of. There are likely other Maryland schools that applied and have been accepted. They just aren't publicized yet. So just an overview of AP Seminar. It is very much inquiry-based. Students choose their topic of interest. So this is really putting that student choice in their hands as well, which we know is imperative. Students are assessed through those 2 performance-based tests. One is group, one is individual, and then that end of course AP exam, which again mirrors AP language and composition almost to a T. Then there's the AP research course. It is the year-long research-based project. Internship for STEM fits in perfectly with this. There is a portfolio and presentation component, so the teacher actually will submit a digital portfolio to the College Board on behalf of the student. That is how they are scored. That is their AP exam. So they get a presentation grade based on an AP rubric, and they get that digital portfolio grade from the College Board, and that is their AP exam score for AP research. There is no actual seat time for an exam for that course. So they are assessed by an academic paper of approximately 5,000 words, and that presentation and oral defense of their topic. There's a quick video overview that I wanted to show you, just that kind of, it's very quick, and it highlights the, okay, there we go, the beauty of the program.
AP Capstone is an innovative program for high school students designed in partnership with college faculty. Built on 2 new courses from the Advanced Placement program, AP Capstone challenges students to select their own topics of study. In AP Seminar, students learn to evaluate the strength of an argument, pose solutions, elaborate, and communicate. In AP Research, students design, plan, and conduct a year-long investigation on the topic they choose. Both courses foster collaboration, research, and analytical writing.
Within AP Capstone, the seminar course is innovative for its flexibility, and the research program has a similar focus of flexibility and innovation that we find attractive. Instructors and their students can choose the topic they want to focus on. It has to be interdisciplinary, it has to be engaging, it has to be present.
The AP Capstone program is, I think, one of the most exciting innovations the College Board has ever come up with, and it's primarily because the teaching focus is shifted from content to skill. That is a paradigm shift.
The AP Capstone program was implemented in fall 2014 in 114 schools in the United States and in 22 schools throughout Canada, Europe, and Asia.
It was 65 on the website at the time.
Participating in the program are both expected to grow rapidly. Diversity in classes is fundamental to AP Capstone.
I see so much growth in the students every year with writing and learning how to not just synthesize information, which is so critical, but also to draw conclusions and solutions and think about problems in the world around them. They also learn to work in teams and collaborate with each other, which is a critical skill in today's society.
I was sitting here listening to our students and some of the presentations, and I wasn't seeing 16 to 17-year-old high school students. I was seeing 20 to 21-year-old college students sitting here going through some of these topics that range from human between trafficking, pop culture. Their intellectual maturity over the few months that we've had the program is outstanding.
The AP Capstone classes really help students develop the ability to do inquiry, to learn about gathering information, what information to trust, or how to put that information in context, how to form an argument based on the data and the evidence and the information that they've got, and then how to communicate it.
AP Capstone exams are validated by an external team of expert faculty from high schools and colleges.
The external validation associated with AP Capstone does is it gives us a national standard. And for people like me that work in admissions and enrollment at selected universities, that in itself is of huge value. So we trust what we see.
The AP Capstone program, I think, is very unique. It's a broad program that gives skills that we think are very valuable, not only for college, but life skills. The ability to analyze, to critically think, to present that information is really wonderful. And I think both courses do a great job of preparing the student for the rest of their lives.
Fostering the research, argumentation, and communication skills that provide a foundation for.
So that just gives a nice little overview of kind of what I had summarized briefly. And so the implementation plan again, Leonardtown and Great Mills High School will integrate in AP Capstone in 2017-2018, beginning with just the AP seminar course. The AP Capstone program will be piloted with students in STEM and Global and International Studies Academy, with the intention to eventually expand the offerings school-wide, outside of just the academy. In fact, AP Capstone is kind of highlighted as the gateway AP course for students that maybe aren't that AP rigor throughout their high school. This is the one course that is recommended for them because it is interdisciplinary and the students do choose their own topics. So it really fosters that interest. I have already submitted an application to add Chaptacon High School as an AP Capstone school for 2018-2019, and we are right now looking at how AP Capstone can fit into the Academy of Visual Performing Arts as well as the National Academy of Finance, and again with the goal to expand that offering to all Chaptacon High School students that might be interested. And if you have any questions or comments, the College Board website has a wealth of information. It even has links to colleges and universities that are recognizing AP Capstone. So I would certainly encourage you to check that out. And at any time, feel free to email me or call me if you have any additional questions. And questions, comments?
I have a few. One question is related to, you said that AP Capstone has been approved for next school
2017, 2018.
How would that work for the current juniors who are in the middle of they're in the middle of the two I don't know.
The
I know
current offerings.
Yeah. The juniors currently are grandfathered into kind of the old internship. So we're going to be starting for STEM, we're going to be starting the AP seminar course with the Rising Juniors.
Okay.
And then for Global and International Studies, we'll be starting the AP seminar course with the Rising Sophomores.
And then also AP internship in 12th grade for STEM, and then AP research in 11th grade for GIS. Would they would be actual classes, correct? Because currently for the AP Capstone, for Capstone for STEM in 12th grade, you go during your lunchtime.
Correct.
So it's not an actual, so it's a full.
It's a full class.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, last question. And then I said, is there any way for times, so you were saying how GIS will do it in 10th and 11th grade?
Correct.
Is there any, have any schools done it so that the STEM programs as well, or any science-related programs, have also moved it down?
We went to, and I'm going to forget the name of the school, Eleanor Roosevelt High School in PG County to examine, and they had 11 and 12 for their science-based program. That's not to say that the College Board does not limit you. They do not recommend seminar at all for 9th grade. They highly discourage that. But then you have complete flexibility, 10, 11, 12, how you structure those two courses. So if feedback is that STEM might also want to scale back and have that ability to attest to their experience for colleges and universities. It's very interesting on the College Board webpage because it shows the different scenarios of how you can schedule the AP seminar and AP research, but it also gives you the pros and cons of each, which is very interesting to look at because truly, by 12th grade, you are far more versed probably in what your interests are. You probably have a better perspective of what you might be doing in college, so you can tailor it a little bit more than you might in 11th grade. The other beauty is that AP seminar and AP language and composition are so similar. They do encourage those being done together in 11th grade. There's a lot of advantages to that. So,
and then just a comment. I think it's great that we're considering moving it to other, not just STEM and GIS, because recently I went to the GIS Capstone, the symposium. And it was great to see just the, not even the variety of topics that they were doing, but the complexity of some of them. One was about defeating ISIS or a terrorist group in using peaceful means. Another was about current social issues that we're having. And I feel like opening that up to other students as well, potentially in years to come, would have a lot of benefits. Because, like you said, I'm kind of biased because I'm in a STEM in a STEM research class currently, and I'm going to be doing Capstone. But it is a lot of teamwork, and it's a lot of. But like you said, it's self-directed in the sense that you have to be invested in the topic that you choose, and that's why a lot of kids love doing this because they wouldn't pick a topic and do a 100-hour internship on it if they didn't love doing it. And I think also the fact that now that they're going to get credit for it, because a lot of times I've been hearing that's the one concern. It brings down the GPA, like STEM research, because it's a 4.5. So I think it will appease some students in years to come. So they get the credit, and then I feel like not just the credit, but the fact that not all have a title, but it will be extended to more people and more be a more cohesive class. That will be great, and I kind of I'm hoping to see how it turns out.
And I think we're really hopeful that this could be a really good, like we talked about, a good gateway for kids that maybe would not be as courageous to attempt an AP class otherwise. And they see that they get to choose, and it's student-centered, and it's for them, and that would open up, increase AP enrollment.
How did the other schools in Maryland, did they receive it well? Like the other ones that have piloted?
Eleanor Roosevelt's enrollment, they actually started it. The one teacher there that teaches AP research is actually a trainer for the College Board, so he'll likely be training some of our teachers. Their enrollment has doubled every year.
Oh, wow.
Every year. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have you explored the internship over the summer or over like the Christmas break for the GIS students?
We've had a couple of students do student service learning. We changed the semantics. So some students, GIS students, did actually secure an internship. We had one, and pardon my memory, because I taught at Leonardtown in the Global and International Studies Academy for several years. I'm going to say 3 years ago, it might be 4. And he actually interned in D.C. for the summer, and then used that internship experience to foster his research, and then he promoted, he constructed some sort of it was a local nonprofit kind of thing that touched on what he had done in his internship, and it involved shoes, and providing shoes internationally, because he had worked, I believe it was for Adidas, I'm going off memory, but had interned there. So yes, students do have the opportunity, if they can find it, to still integrate an internship component, because there's nothing, I mean, that's a really valuable experience.
Right,
Yeah.
so that would count towards their grade then? I know that, because it said one of them was 100 hours of the internship.
Correct.
Okay.
And that would be, currently as it is right now, it would be their capstone grade. When we restructure, it would go towards their AP research class grade.
Okay, so that internship, if they can secure one, would count towards?
Absolutely, because
AP
that's the
seminar.
springboard for their research.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
In the AP research course, does it also teach research methods? And if so, what's the logic to having that second when the first course had a group and then an individual research project?
The seminar course is first because it's structured more like a Socratic seminar. There's a little bit more of a discussion base to it, and students are really kind of exploring various areas of interest. So seminar is more to get them to kind of refine their area of interest, and then research, they really delve into that one specific. The College Board requires that you collaborate with your media specialist as well, so that you are looking at different research formats, that you are going into evaluating credibility of different databases, and looking at the difference between web-based sources versus online journals versus going to an actual academic library. They encourage partnerships with local colleges and universities, which we have for both STEM and GIS already. So I think that's the logic there. The College Board does not allow you to switch the order of that. So if we adopt it, it is in their policy that you do seminar first and then segue into
Because
AP
I noticed
research.
in the video, the graph or the slide that they had in the video showed research first.
Well, there's a research component to seminar as well,
Yeah.
and they kind of they start and get their feet wet on a more holistic level, and then that AP research class is really that year-long project-based. It is focused on that, and really the teacher kind of works as a facilitator more than anything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it's I think it's great that you applied for Chapticon, because of course that was going to be my comment going forward. And then also, I think expanding it beyond the academies or whatever we're calling them, because I think there are a lot of children that are at their home high schools that don't want to move to another high school and that aren't interested in what's offered at their home high school. And, especially living up in the northern end, there's a lot of children that give up their STEM spots because they don't want to go down to Spring Ridge and Great Mills and leave at 7 o'clock in the morning when they're in 4th grade. My daughter being one of them. So I think it's, I think it's great that we extend that. No, just for the distance.
Yeah.
The bus leaves at like 7 o'clock.
But that really is
that's the beauty of doing it.
Yeah,
doing this.
And that's the beauty of the AP Capstone diploma, like that. So we're going to have these fantastic recognitions of our students' accomplishment. Not only so right now when they're in a pathway, they get a letter from me, they get recognition for being in that pathway and completing that signature pathway and everything like that. But when you add to it AP Capstone diploma, and then you open that up to all the other kids, because we'll have a lot of students who are completing 7 AP courses and definitely are going to, fantastic post-secondary opportunities, and it's to nothing but their benefit to take seminar and research.
Right, exactly. Right.
I see the AP seminar course as being something that will probably consume the majority of a teacher's schedule at each one of our high schools. I mean, I can see 4 or 5 classes of seminar and research running at the same time.
And the beauty is, too, a student has the option, they don't have to take both. So if they just want to take AP Seminar their senior year as a preparation course to go into college, that's an option.
What a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Right. So, thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
I think this is very exciting. As I was sitting here, I was thinking about the GIS capstone projects that I saw that were held at the Forest Center, and I was also thinking about, yes, that would be great for the AOF students and the visual and performing arts students at Chapticon High School, which you had already thought of and it's already in your presentation. So I think it'll be a smooth transition for the students that do the capstone projects. It just take it to another level. It gives them a template to do it well with the AP research and the AP capstone research and seminar. And when I saw, and it also prepares our students to be college and career ready.
Absolutely.
So it's already preparing them for that, and our students are there, but you're taking them to the next level. And the GIS students are doing this already, because I can share with you, I saw a project that the students did. This is just one. And they did a project on depression among women. And they cited 3 factors. They said inferior lifestyle in comparison to men, unequal opportunities in education and wage gap, and domestic abuse. And, okay, they identified the problem. They had to find a solution, and what are they going to do about it? And they said those factors were universal regardless of where the women live, whether in the United States or third world countries. So they decided that they would build the students' self-esteem. So what they did, they went to Esperanza Middle School. They conducted a 3-day workshop, and they were called All About Me every Tuesday in April for 3 weeks. And they were 90-minute workshops. 10 girls were selected with the help of the guidance counselor, Mrs. Cornell. And day 1, they talked about maintaining healthy relationships. Day 2, they talk about exercise. And day 3, feeling confident. And on the last day, the girls wrote letters to themselves talking about their qualities and their attributes that they could take out and read when they were feeling down or low. So our students actually put it into action, and this was without these guidelines, so you can imagine what they can do with those guidelines. And they worked as a team to do their project. And the things you mentioned, they did the independent research, they had multimedia presentations, they had a written summation, and then they formally presented to the audience who came. Mr. Smith and I were there, and the student board member. And it was a topic that they could choose of their own interest. It wasn't like, okay, this is the project we're going to do, or here's a list. The students could be independent thinkers and choose something that is of interest to them. And I'm glad that it's going to be added to, glad to see that it's going to happen at Leonardtown and Great Mills in 2018-2019 school year, and the AOF and Visual and Performing Arts in, what was that? Was that 2?
That would be 2018, 2019.
20, okay, and the other one is
17,
2017,
next year.
18.
Correct.
Okay. I like the idea that they can get this capstone diploma, because colleges are looking at different things now. It's more than GPA. Are you a well-rounded individual? What can you do? Show what you can do, what your interests, talents, and abilities are. So I am very excited about this new AP seminar, AP research, and how you're going to start it out. And I think it's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for doing all your research
That's
to
the fun
make
part.
this happen. Thank you.
I have to echo the fact that this is just incredible. And I see so many possibilities with it, not just for the STEM and GIS students, but I mean, you really could look at this being incorporated into some of the things at the Forest Center as well.
Absolutely.
And I think in a very focused way to help students, no matter what they go on to. Do you anticipate that you'll wait 2 years to institute it for all students?
I would imagine. I think that's our goal right now. It just seems so seamless to pilot it with what's almost already in existence. The tweaks are minimal. We have a little bit of research to do regarding materials. There's not a ton out there because it is so new. So in terms of textbooks or supplementary materials. The other beauty is that both STEM and GIS already have the one-to-one device factor. STEM has laptop carts, GIS have iPads, so that research component is just, it's automatically very easy. So certainly technology will be something we have to look at because technology is such a huge component of research nowadays.
Right.
So we do have to make sure we have that. And then we also have to look at training our staff. The College Board does require a week-long summer training institute for each teacher that's going to teach.
Right.
The beauty of AP Seminar and Research, they don't mandate a particular discipline. So just like you were saying about Forest Center, any teacher can achieve that certification, which gives us a nice open door.
So as you're looking to add Chapticon in the 18-19 school year, are you expecting that you will implement it only for the Academy of Finance and perhaps Visual and Performing Arts for 2 years? Or if you're looking at the potential that at the end of that 2018-19 school year, you would be opening those courses, or at least the seminar course to start, to all students at Great Mills and at Leonardtown. Would you do the same thing, having already piloted it in 2 schools? Would you do that at Chapticon?
I don't think I can finitely answer that question just because we have to see, number one, staffing is going to be an issue, budget, of course.
Training for teachers.
Luckily, I wrote into the AP budget anticipating that this was going to be approved. So we have this year taken care of. But I think we also have to, I also want to move a little bit cautiously with this too, to make sure we do it correctly. And make sure we get the right teachers in those classrooms that are really going to make it that student-centered experience that it needs to be. So we are still right now in regards to Chapticon and how it might work with the academies. We are in the very basic discussions with that. And we're looking more now at Leonardtown and Great Mills. Okay, where does this fit? We're in that process of program of studies adoption, and how does this fit in the master schedule? So we're still kind of in the infancy of these discussions. I think ideally, in an ideal world, yes. Yes.
And so keep in mind, it didn't exist at all in 2014, so
No.
there are no scores. For 2015, in the entire state of Maryland, where there are almost 900,000 students, only 62 scored responses from the AP Capstone, and the average grade was 2.5 out of the all the way up to the 4. So, and then last year there was only 165. So, your ambition to pilot would actually be as many as maybe 50 or 60 students in seminar at Great Mills and Leonardtown. So we could hypothetically have, a pretty predominant group of people from here. What I love most about this is, whereas other systems kind of had to we already have this, but we already know that the capacity of our educators working with our kids and the output from our children, we've been looking and seeing and experiencing them for the last 6 years, 7 years. These incredible capstones. So this is just so serendipitous as far as the timing and the way we build this all out and the recognition for student work. So our good student board member at starting. So imagine if you just wish you were a freshman. You just wish you could go back and be a freshman, because through this process, you could get 2 more AP courses, and you're already doing the work. You'd have 5s on everything. So
And a testament to our STEM and GIS teachers, teachers from both academies were coming to me with this too.
Yeah.
They had done research and said, we're already doing this. We need this. We need this
to get
now.
credit for this.
So they're just as passionate about this as we are. So.
I'm thrilled, because I really do think that this will make such a positive difference in our students going off to college or to their careers, and the skill sets that they will have put into practice in a very measured and facilitated way, I guess, that will carry them forward. So I'm excited, and I'm very pleased that you did the research and are bringing this forward. So I certainly support it.
Thank you.
Isn't this wonderful having Ms. Mandis here at Central?
And I want to say one more thing. I like your concept to go slow, to go fast, so you can get it right.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that you're taking it step by step so you can ensure success of the students.
Thank you.
In the program. Thank you.
I had one last question.
Oh, go ahead.
So
Yes, we can make it work for you.
I'm like,
So you're excited.
all control.
This is really. I just want to talk about this for the rest of the. I know that we can't, but.
So you said how any teacher technically they could be qualified for this.
Mm-hmm.
Since the exam you said is similar to the AP Language and Composition exam, would you be looking at not strictly, but mainly AP English teachers?
What our thought is right now is to take the AP seminar course and have English teachers teach that, and to take the AP research course and have social studies teachers teach that. Although it is going to differ a little bit between GIS and STEM. And then we also want teacher buy-in. Number one is the teachers have to want to do this, and they have to be passionate about it. So we have a couple of interested teachers who have already volunteered themselves for training. So that's good.
Would this tie in at all with the global diplomacy class that I know it's at Great Mills, but I don't.
It is at Leonardtown as well. And global diplomacy is not a requirement for either GIS or STEM, so that would be an elective that they could still take.
Okay.
But it would absolutely, if you had a topic in global diplomacy that was of interest to you, you could springboard and use that like in your AP research class. So it is meant to be absolutely interdisciplinary.
I think one of the best things about AP Capstone, whether you're in STEM or in GIS, is that we know the world is a pretty big place, and we're never going to agree with everyone in the world, but AP Capstone gets you a little bit bigger glimpse of what's going on. I mean, we pay attention to current events as much as we can, but I think AP Capstone, if you do science or something related to society, I think that awareness really helps us step forward into the real world after 12th grade.
You're definitely peering over the wall.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's just a preview for what's coming with the program of studies. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Exciting.
Okay, and now on to health and wellness.
Because what we're learning, we need to be healthy.
Healthy in order to.
Yes.
I don't know where. Ms. Vansella.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Smith.
Hello, hello.
It is wonderful to be here today and talk to you about a subject that I am very passionate about, which is our commitment to our staff. And so while I've enjoyed hearing what we're doing for the students, we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about what we're doing for our staff members. And so this is an employee health and wellness update, and I'm happy to present this to you this evening because I'm really excited about the work that we're doing. So why do we want to look at employee wellness? Well, the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, has published school health guidelines, and they talk in their school health guidelines about how important it is that we also look at the health of our employees. Our schools are places of learning, but they're also work sites. And so everyone that's involved in making sure that those students learn in a safe environment, safe and clean environment, they have concerns too that are going to affect the learning of the students. And so school employee wellness is important because we want to reduce the stress on our staff. We want to increase their morale. We want to model positive, healthy behaviors for the students that look to their staff members for guidance. Teachers have high rates of burnout, and if they're not healthy, it just makes it worse. So lots of reasons that the CDC says that we should focus on our employee wellness as school systems. A couple of other reasons. We can save dollars, healthcare dollars, focusing on employee wellness, significant money, not only on healthcare costs, but on substitute costs, on sick day costs, those types of things. And so looking at wellness, we also are mandated by our negotiated agreements with our employee associations. Wellness Committee, the Joint Healthcare and Wellness Committee, is in the negotiated agreements with ESMIC now and SMASA. And so we have a committee that has met in 2015, 16, and then also this year to work on the goals of the committee, which are to provide associations with health insurance modifications during the negotiations time periods. What can we offer? What can we afford? What can we do? What can we change? To schedule activities specifically designed to promote employee wellness. And then utilize money that Care First, as our health insurance vendor, has given us to promote wellness. They've given us a $25,000 grant. And so I'm really, really excited about the things that we've been able to put forward as a committee this year. Last year we really focused on negotiations, as you're very well aware. There were a lot of things that changed with the health insurance component of the employee agreements last year, and this year with the new contract with ESMIC. And one of those things we'll talk about a bit later is a participation-based wellness program that we're going to be kicking off this year that we're really excited about. So this year we had Care First join us at one of our committee meetings and talk to us about what works and what doesn't work, and how we can successfully implement wellness strategies for our employees and gain their buy-in. One of the things that we did at the tail end of last year's was we started on-site flu shots for our staff. One of the teachers just casually mentioned this in the committee meeting, and Ms. Trish Wentz, the supervisor of school health, worked very closely with CVS and also with Care First. And this was really exciting because what we were able to do was send the medical professionals to the schools to provide the flu shots at the school site without the teachers taking leave. They worked the coverage in the building internally, so substitutes weren't required. And all the teacher needed to do was provide a copy of their insurance card, and CVS billed the insurance directly for the cost of the shot. There was no co-payment. Last year, 295 shots. This year, 477 were administered. And we were really pleased with the timeliness. We were able to get them out as soon as the vaccine was released. And also the fact that folks they could do it conveniently, protect against the flu. And the next thing that we did, we sent out a wellness support survey. We wanted to see what our staff members think are the important issues that they're facing, and how would they feel about, where we should go next. And I want to say that Care First, the wellness person over at Care First was so excited by the number of participants we had. We had 791 people respond to the survey. And I don't know if you've ever sent out a survey. But you don't often get 800 people that reply. And I was really, really, really excited about that. And Care First said that was the largest response they've ever seen in an employer our size. So there is interest in our staff. And in the survey, we were looking at, what kind of topics are you interested in receiving professional development or support on? Would you be interested in receiving professional development and support? How do you feel about these sorts of things? And then we took that wellness support survey data and brought it back to the committee and said, here are the concerns that our employees have. They focused on stress, time management, and weight management. Those were the 3 overwhelming responses that our employees stated that they needed help with, wanted support with. And so using that data, we sat down with the menu of offerings that we can use our Care First dollars for, and selected 10 health seminars, and sent out another survey. Again, fantastic response. Folks were overwhelmingly interested in receiving professional development or training on, once again, those 3: time management, stress management, and weight management. Those are the 3 things. And so we took that data and scheduled, I'm going to skip around a little bit here. The first thing that I'm really excited about, we're going to do lunch and learn during professional day at the 3 seminars that we're going to offer at both high schools that are hosting Professional Development Day in January on the 27th. We've got professionals that are coming to do fitting and fitness, stress management, how to make it all work. And so these seminars are going to be published with the help of Ms. Bachner's fantastic team over in curriculum and instruction. They've been very, very supportive in allowing us to include these wellness seminars as part of the Professional Development Day. We've already got the teachers there. They're very interested in it. We're going to have lunch and learn about those topics that they have found interesting. We're also having weight management programs at 3 schools, North, South, and Central in the county. We're hoping to kick those off right as the New Year resolutions start populating.
Seize upon it.
Yeah. And New Year, New You. And also host fitness classes. And the fitness classes are 8 weeks. Those are actually already scheduled. I'm really excited about them. 8 weeks, and it's going to be yoga and Pilates and, kind of a try it fitness, and let people try different disciplines of fitness and see what works for them at the school for free, because we're using those Care First dollars. And then the last initiative that we're working on this year is providing education on the negotiated participation-based wellness programs for active and retired ESMIC employees. Important to note that SMASA's getting ready to go into negotiations, so right now this is just teachers and non-certificated individuals that can participate in this, but it's pretty exciting because there are 4 things that they need to do in order to earn money on a prepaid Visa card. It's a Care First Visa card. And if an employee chooses a primary care physician, agrees to accept electronic communications from Care First, including those annoying statements that your explanation of benefits that come out every time you go to the doctor by mail, saves us money. They accept those electronically. They complete an online confidential health survey. And the data isn't provided to us except at a very high level. But the goal of that survey is to give folks an idea of what might be going on with themselves. They might not have asked these questions of themselves before. And then the 4th item is actually go see that primary care physician and get your physical.
Yep.
Many of our employees don't know that their annual physical is free. They don't want to take leave. They don't want to go do it. And so we're hoping that if any adult that completes all 4 of those items gets $100 on their prepaid Visa that they can use for glasses or contact lenses or dental copays. It's kind of like a flex spending card that they might go to their doctor. And that's what we really like to see, because 75% of all of our diseases that we manage and pay for through our health insurance are chronic illnesses. And so you get a head start on managing those, and it not only impacts your employee wellness and morale and staffing, but funding down the road for keeping those healthcare costs manageable. So, moving into education, because that's our wellness initiative, we've been really trying to focus with our staff members about what their options for healthcare are. And here's some data that I found really interesting. So last year, in FY16, our staff members went to the ER 1,500 times. And, you need to go. The average cost of the visit, $790. And we spent $1.2 million in ER visits last year. Urgent care, 821 visits, average cost $101 per visit. And so I pulled some data up. I found it really interesting. According to the CDC, Americans made 136 million visits to ERs last year. That's a lot of dollars if you look at what our average cost is. They say that 18 billion would be saved annually in the United States if folks that went to the ER for avoidable or non-urgent conditions made a different choice. And with 5,000 emergency rooms providing treatment 24 hours a day, we want to make sure that our employees know they can go where they need to go, get the care they need to get, but what are your other options? Because oftentimes we hear, well, the doctor's office was closed, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to get an appointment, and I was sick, and I just wanted a prescription. And so they go and they sit at the emergency room, and they get the care that they could probably get elsewhere at a more reasonable cost. Plus, it's, nobody wants to go sit. So Care First has introduced a new initiative that we have embraced here, and it's the Care First Video Visit. It's an app that is available on your smartphone. And I have to tell you, I presented this to the administrators in October, and then sent it out to all staff on the 11th of October. And 116 of our staff members have registered to use this service. 33 of them have actually completed a visit through Video Visit. And it's really cool. So it's intended for treatment of everything that is not complicated, not emergent: bronchitis, sore throat, nausea, vomiting, pink eye. I've had probably 5 pink eye cases that have gone through Video Visit. You register very quickly, very easily on your smartphone, put in your medical card information, which populates the information that's already stored at Care First. So that's really just the information that's needed. And then you have the ability to pick a doctor, because there are doctors, and this is an exact screenshot. There are doctors that are sitting there waiting to see you. You can check their education level. You can check their patient ratings. You can check where they actually practice now. We have a couple of local doctors that are on this that I got excited when I saw a name that I recognized when I used it for strep throat. And then you have just the video visit with the doctor. Now, could she do a culture for strep throat? Absolutely not. But she did look down my throat with the help of my husband and a flashlight to see that there were some lovely white patches. And she prescribed me an antibiotic, which I went to pick up. I didn't have to take leave. I didn't have to wait in the ER. I didn't have to sit beside somebody that had something worse than what I was already dealing with and might get. And so this is just another option that we're throwing out there to our employees. We don't want to be the determining factor for what decision they make as far as where they're seeking their care, but we do want them to know what all of the options are. The Copay for emergency rooms for our administrators is $75, and our employees pay $50. Now, for an $800 visit, that's pretty reasonable copay. However, if you were to use this service or in urgent care, it's just a sick visit at your primary care physician. So the same building service worker that would pay $50 to go to the ER would pay $5 to use the video visit. And so we want to make sure that they know that these things are out there and that they know that, you know, that the wellness initiative with the Blue Rewards card that's coming in July is out there. So we're working on educating our staff, and quite honestly, it's my favorite part of my job. It's fun. So with that, that is my entire update, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I have one quick question.
Sure.
How have you been able to get the word out to?
I sent an email out to all staff. I presented at 2 of the schools, the administrators, after they sat through the little, actually it's kind of a similar session to the one that I just gave here, asked me to come out and speak at their school staff meetings. And so, so I've been able to share that. Gotten a lot of positive feedback. I had an employee this morning email me that she had used it and was able to, actually the video portion failed because her technology failed, so the doctor called her and they finished the interaction that way. And she was really, really excited about it. And that's the one thing that I think has been most exciting for me is that the positive number of surveys that we're receiving back and the constant email interaction, the thanks and the, hey, I used that, and yes, it really worked, that's really cool, thank you for sharing it, is just, it shows that our employees are appreciating that we're concerned about them and that we're trying to offer them options and that we care.
I think the whole, how much work you've put into giving yourself to staff is great. I mean, because when you think about schools, especially as a student, I just think, oh, schools, students, it's for students. But sometimes you forget the people who are running the show are just as important, and you need them. You don't want them to stress out. I mean, I don't like seeing my teachers stress out because you feel for them. Everyone has
Plus,
stress.
it affects your learning, doesn't it?
That is true.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I was thinking about that.
Seriously.
But just overall, like a lot of the programs we've been looking at, making sure students know that someone's caring for them. I think it's great that teachers know that someone's also looking out for them.
Thank you, and they have been very, very receptive, which makes it all very worthwhile.
So it's like the whole child, it's the whole staff person. We have to worry, you know, we work with the whole, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The fitness classes, are they going to be at every school, or is it just like at certain locations?
Because I have budgetary constraints, as I'm sure you're familiar with, what we're doing with this year's money is hosting one at Northern School, Southern School, and a Central School. Okay. And we're going to have them open. The fitness classes are open to 30 participants at each of the 3 schools, and they'll run for 8 weeks. If we have positive feedback, none of the other counties have used their wellness dollars yet. So we want to see how this works. The providers are sent from Care First, and we use the Care First dollars to pay for them. So we're going to start this year by doing those 3 locations immediately after the new year. And then if there is a interest and the sessions are worthwhile, because that's always a concern when you're using people that you're not familiar with, that you haven't seen in action, and no one's got any testimony to help you with it. Do we want to schedule more than that and commit to using those dollars? So we're going to look at how well it goes in January, February, and we have more time to schedule more if it goes well, and we actually will have enough money to schedule another session of them before the end of the year, as long as they go well.
Okay, so you, for doing the fitness program, then you need to use the people from Care First. You can't go out into the community and...
Care First provides us a menu of classes that they offer, and they have contracted with folks in our area because I was concerned about that. We have some limitations as far as, you know, what providers we have here. And they've informed me that they have contractors right here in this county that they will be providing. So they will be local people, and I want to see what that looks like.
I will tell you that I'm very excited to see this video, the video conference. It's really one step up because the military has, you can phone in and, phone a nurse and go over your symptoms and things like that. So I think this is really, technology being used, at its best for a lot of these things. And I will tell you that for the staff, please use this because when you don't, you completely stress out the ER staff, which
Right.
I was part of. When you see the waiting room completely packed with people, and then somebody come in. Well, we do have like the bead up the nose and stuff, but when they're coming in with the sore throat and they've complained now because they've sat out there for 5 or 6 hours, that stresses out the staff. So remember that, and plus save yourself some money.
And the system as a whole, I mean, certainly save yourself the copay, because that's
Right.
the employees, usually time. Time was the top reason that everyone that responded back after I sent out this email, that this is a great time saver, because going and sitting for hours isn't fun for the staff that has to wait on you, and also, it clogs up the emergency room for non-emergent.
It clogs up the system. And I think this is a great thing that their Care First has done, and that you've
I'm
provided
excited.
it for your staff.
In a month, we've already had 30 people use it. I'm very excited.
Yeah, so
Thank
getting the
you.
word out there. Thanks for all your research and everything.
Yeah, and I'm quite happy to see the education portion of this because, my background has been that it seems as though health insurance is the only insurance that you feel if you don't use it, you've been ripped off. At the end of the year, you have homeowners insurance and you say, why wasn't I broken into?
Yeah.
So this education is great. Thank you.
It's an excellent point, yes.
I'm just going to piggyback on Mrs. Weaver. I think healthcare overall in this county is a challenge because if you live in Leonardtown, there's not an urgent care facility, right? So
It's a long way to go for
right,
stitches.
It's a long way to go.
For your boys. It's a long way to go for
right.
stitches.
But I mean,
if you come to my house.
But I mean, and then once you get through your urgent care facility, then you don't have a 24-hour pharmacy. So, which I experienced just this last week when my husband had to drive to La Plata to get a prescription at 10 o'clock at night because that's what time we got out of urgent care. So I think whatever you can do to educate people is phenomenal. And just from being in the schools, not that you want to clutter up the break rooms or anything with flyers, but I mean, and honestly, if that screenshot is on like plastered everywhere, it might be better rather than just an email specifically as everyone goes through the flu, bronchitis, strep throat, pink eye, probably light, whatever goes through, the schools, because the schools coming.
Sure.
So,
Staff bathrooms. Staff bathrooms.
Right. I mean, that just, to me, to see it, it might be like, oh yeah, I could do that. So, but hats off are to you because, like I said, healthcare I think is an incredible challenge at wherever you live in this county because you don't have, nothing is readily available unless you are sick between the hours of 9 and 5 o'clock.
And
your
urgent care
doctor's
is
open.
requiring appointments now.
Yeah.
Not ours in Charlotte Hall.
No, Charlotte Hall, you just walk in. They'll do
Or you can
they'll
make
do
an
up to,
appointment.
They'll do up to 6 stitches.
Right, you can do either one. So, but, and then on the flu shots, I know before the staff would always get flu shots when they did the flu clinics for the students. What was the thought process in splitting the two? Was it
When
cost or?
students received their flu shot, the staff had to pay because the health department was administering.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so rather than have the staff pay for something that is fully covered under their insurance simply for convenience, the teacher made an offhand comment at the committee meeting, it'd be nice if they'd come do them for us. Well, thanks for the great idea. We're going to run with it. And Trish Wentz got with the folks over at CVS, and within 2 weeks we had the flu
Now, this
unfortunately,
year for the students, we had to submit our insurance information, and we were told that they were, that they were still submitting it through our insurance company.
the health department was not going to administer them for free to our staff.
Okay.
So we were able to get the physicians, the medical professionals at CVS to come here, and they visited every school, even Moakley.
And they were fantastic. They were very gentle, didn't hurt at all.
We saw the Twitter feed.
Yeah, took a picture. I didn't have to take off my shirt. Mr. Watson did, so she would let me kind of push the whole. It was nice. It's nice. Haven't had the flu yet, so evidently it worked.
The season is young.
Yeah.
That's right. Why are you going to jinx yourself and put that out there? So, and I would like to thank Mrs. McCourt, because I know she's been working tirelessly with our Care First reps on all of this, and I'm sure a lot of the benefit that we're receiving now is just because of her diligence.
She has been nothing but supportive and encouraging through all of these initiatives, and we're very fortunate to have her.
Yes, we are.
Oh,
even after 8 o'clock on a Wednesday.
Where's that button
the
on
last
the website?
item.
We see someone making a difference.
Yeah, she is. She's making a difference.
Exactly.
And you can actually take a picture. When you go in there, you can take a picture, you can upload a video. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can give us artifacts. So
There we go.
Yeah.
She's going to run me off the road on the way home.
You're about to raise it up.
All right, I'm sorry. Mrs. Washington, go ahead.
Thank you for this presentation. It's very exciting and special to me because health and wellness is important to me. Someone said the greatest wealth is health, both mental and physical health. And I like the way you've broken away from the status quo and you're doing something innovative. I like the idea of the flu shots given to the educators in the school. The video visit is excellent. What are the hours for that? Is it
24 hours a day?
Oh, that's special. That's what, yes.
Welcome
That
to
was
middle
my
of the night
question.
moms and
It's
dads.
24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Still have to find a 24-hour pharmacy, but at
Well,
least
it
you know
doesn't
which
matter.
one.
It's coming.
It doesn't,
It's coming.
it doesn't matter. We're moving in that direction, and thank you that it's 24/7. That's excellent.
Yes.
So thank you. I mean, this is a great presentation. I'm excited about this one too,
Me
and
too.
I'm looking forward to see if our employees take increasingly more value from this service that is being provided. Thank you.
Over the years, there's been such a change, and the focus on actually activating that health and wellness committee and really using it effectively is certainly appreciated. I do love the idea of the video visit, the fact that it is 24 hours, that the privacy that you're afforded, so you don't have to go out someplace, and especially, a sick child, the last thing you want to do is pack them into the car and take them off to a doctor's office or urgent care or whatever. So the convenience of this is just fantastic. And the fact that, as was already said, you can avoid sitting next to people who are more sick than you, and you're already in a debilitated state, and you're just going to pick up anything and everything. I think a lot of it is also that people really, they have a tendency not to visit the doctor, and so they miss out on that education of exactly what, and everybody calls it urgent care. I call it doc in a box, because it's basically fast food medicine. You just power through, and they don't understand that is an option available to them that's generally a lot faster as well as cheaper. So this is fantastic. I'm going to go home and check out to see if the federal government's Blue Cross Blue Shield also participates in video visits, because I'm like, all right, this is sign us up. Thank you. This is great. I love it.
It's good stuff. So we're going to be working with our employees, with our adults in January, because they don't have enough time. They get really stressed out. Where's the donuts? And that's kind of my day. I don't have enough time. I'm totally stressed out. Where is the donut? And you'll see me over at the vending machine. I was there just today, so I need to do some penance in January for that as well. But it's really funny, Roma. We're talking about this with the kids, and this is the adults are saying the same stuff. So we all just need to We all just need to work together. And Mr. Carney, even though you're leaving the board, if you want to come back for like a Pilates class, you know a guy we can work it out. That could be really centering for both of
We sent
us.
you for a fried free dinner.
I was thinking about yoga pants myself.
Yeah, that's it could. That would be quite a story.
I am going to miss you. Oh, my gosh.
My goodness.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Pansell.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Okay. The next board meeting is on Wednesday, December 14th, and it will not start at 9 o'clock. It will start at 9:30.
9:30.
So note that time change, please. Pending everything provided by the governor's office and the election board, we will swear in Mr. Davis prior to that meeting at 8:30. So that's why the
Regularly in
time,
executive
that's
session.
for the time change. That's all I have. So,
Other than the fact that you're going to have to change what you plan to serve.
yeah, now we're
Because
going to have to just have
the
fruit.
donuts are just not going to work.
So it'll just be fruit and water.
It just says which room.
Okay, all right, we are adjourned.